Picture this for a second. You open your eyes and find yourself locked inside a room you don't recognize. Strange things keep happening around you, and no matter what you try, there's simply no way out. That's exactly the situation our story throws its hero into. We open on a large, empty white room. A man is lying on the floor, and when his eyes finally flutter open, he's completely disoriented to find himself in this vast, bare space. Confusion quickly turns to unease as he pushes himself up and starts wandering around, trying to make sense of where he is. Walking along one of the walls, he notices something odd, small shape sticking out from the surface. Curious. He steps closer to investigate, and when he presses down on its tip, something bizarre happens. Thousands of tiny baby angels come bursting out of the walls all around him. Just as quickly, they retreat back inside, except one small detail stays behind. A little rounded piece of each figure remains poking out. It suddenly clicks for him. Those strange protrusions aren't decorations at all. They're buttons. A narrator's voice chimes in, telling us that this stage of life is known as learning. Now that he understands what these things actually are, he brings his finger up and sniffs it, still trying to process the weirdness of it all. He starts shouting, hoping someone nearby might hear him and help him out, but silence is the only reply. Left with no other option, he begins mashing buttons at random, and each one summons something different into the room. One brings out a toothbrush. Another produces a giant bouquet of flowers. Slowly, he realizes a pattern. Every single button always calls up the exact same object, never anything else. To test his theory, he presses one button over and over until he's built himself a small mountain of chopsticks. But the very next button he tries sends a shopping cart rocketing across the room, slamming straight into his leg and leaving him howling in pain. The following press is even stranger. The object that appears morphs into a cherubic little rear end that plants itself right against his face. Undeterred, he keeps experimenting, gathering a growing pile of random objects along the way. At one point, while he's tossing a ball around, he accidentally hits a button that produces sushi, and he's thrilled, because by now he's genuinely starving. As he eats, he starts craving some soy sauce to go with it, so he presses the same button again, hoping for a bottle. Instead, more sushi keeps coming out, batch after batch, so he just keeps eating in silence. It's only once every last piece is gone that he presses the button one more time out of habit, and this time, the soy sauce bottle finally appears. Furious that it showed up exactly when he no longer needs it, he hurls the bottle across the room. The next button hands him a pair of 3D glasses, and the moment he puts them on, he sees one of the little angel figures pointing toward a specific button on the wall. He's overjoyed, convinced he's finally cracked the secret of this place. But pressing that particular button only kicks off a countdown, and once it hits 0, an enormous cherub emerges from the wall and presses itself against his face. A few more presses later, he stumbles onto a button that gives him a book, and he genuinely enjoys it, tearing through several chapters within a couple of hours. But when he tries to move on to what should be the next chapter, Chapter 7 comes out instead of 6. Frustrated, he tries a different button, only to get Chapters 8 and 9 handed to him out of order. While chasing down the right book, he accidentally presses a button that reveals a door behind him, and he's ecstatic, sure that he's finally found his way out. The problem is, in all the excitement, he's forgotten exactly which button opened it, so he starts pressing buttons blindly, trying to recreate the moment. The first sends a man running back and forth along the wall. The second dumps water straight onto his head, but on the third try, the door swings open again. Just as he lets go of the button to make a run for it, though, the door slams shut. After a few more failed attempts, he finally understands the rule. The door only stays open for as long as the button stays pressed. He tries standing right on top of the button in a sprinter stance, hoping to shave off precious seconds, but the door still closes before he can make it across. He tries riding the shopping cart to cover the distance faster, no luck there either. Then, he gets a clever idea. He sets the heavy flower bouquet on the button, hoping its weight alone will hold it down. It's not quite heavy enough, so he decides to fill it up. He tries pouring water into it using the water button, but the water refuses to land anywhere except on him. Switching tactics, he packs the bouquet full of sushi instead, until, hauling the weighted down bouquet across the room, he accidentally and he gets a clever idea. He sets the heavy flower bouquet on the button, hoping its weight alone will hold it down. It's not quite heavy enough, so he decides to fill it up. He tries pouring water into it, using the water button, but the water refuses to land anywhere except on him. Switching tactics, he packs the bouquet full of sushi instead, and it works until, hauling the weighted-down bouquet across the room, he accidentally sets it on the wrong button. That triggers the book-reading routine again, and the man from that scene comes charging out, colliding with him and shattering the bouquet completely. Screaming in frustration, he tries a handful of smaller tricks, but the door keeps beating him every single time. Then, purely by accident, a button lowers a rope from the ceiling. He realizes he can swing across on it to reach the door in time, and it works perfectly. But when he finally gets to the door behind the wall, he discovers it's locked, and he needs a key to open it. The wall slides shut before he can grab anything, forcing him back into the room. In a fit of anger, he kicks the wall, and a key comes floating out, but just like the door, it vanishes the moment he releases the button. Now he has to figure out how to grab both the key and reach the door before either disappears. He tries the same button again, but this time a dog comes bounding out and starts barking at him instead, throwing him right back into confusion. Every single button looks identical, after all. Eventually, he tracks down the correct one and rests a piece of sushi on top of it to weight it down. After 12 failed attempts, he finally manages to grab the key and reach the door. But the trouble isn't over. Above the door sits a numbered combination lock. He dashes back into the room to search for a clue, and on his way back out, the wall smacks him hard from behind once again. In pure frustration, he kicks the opposite side, which triggers the running man button once more. This time, though, he notices something he missed before the number 3 is printed on the man's chest. Because the wall keeps resetting before he can act, it takes him 3 separate tries to actually use this clue and crack the lock. The door itself turns out to be stuck, so he has to throw his full weight into forcing it open, and right as he does, the wall drops back down, leaving barely any room for the door to swing wide. Defeated, he sinks to the floor and starts crying, replaying everything the room had given him, all the little things he never once appreciated while he still had them. Just then, he feels a breeze brush against his left side. Following it, he discovers a hidden, false section of wall, pushes through it, and takes off running. The space beyond looks exactly like the room he just left, so much so that it feels like he's sprinting in circles, never actually getting anywhere. Eventually, the running leads him into a second room, dimmer than the first, and the moment he steps inside, the door shuts firmly behind him. The narrator's voice returns, telling us this new stage of life is called practice. Inside, he goes right back to pressing buttons. One makes a singer breathe fire mid-performance. Another causes a magician's trick to fail somewhere in Russia. A third sends a man in China off walking his dogs. Looking up, he notices this room has no ceiling either, just an open space above where leaves are gently drifting down. And that's when a completely different idea strikes him. Instead of pressing the buttons, he starts grabbing hold of them and climbing the wall itself. It works! And as he climbs higher and higher, each button he grips sets off something remarkable in the corners of the world below. Flowers bursting into bloom, an elephant slipping and sliding, toast popping up somewhere, people setting foot on the moon. By the time he finally reaches the top, so much time has passed that his hair and beard have grown out dramatically. He no longer even needs to hold on anymore. He's floating freely now, just like the other winged figures around him. The voice tells us he has now reached the status of a god, and that from here on, the entire world will move according to his will. White feathers begin swirling around him as he's carried into one final room. In this last chamber, the wall is covered by a complete map of planet Earth, and mounted beside it is the largest button he's encountered yet. He steps forward, reaches out toward it, and the screen cuts to black. So here's the question the story leaves us with. If you had just one day as God, with the power to change anything on this earth, what would you do with it? Let us know in the comments.